brought a lot of points. I just want to take 1 or 2 points and take that into the next discussion. You very, very rightly said that your associations shape you and your education. Of course, we always hear that, but it's hugely important. And one of my favorite quotes is that you are a sum total of the 5 people closest to you. On that note, actually, I want to move over to Shireen and really talk about you and your daughter. And you, of course, said very rightly, your parents, what your parents do, you absorb, and so has your daughter. What drew you into the community, and how did your daughter get into community development?
I can start with a very simple thing. I came from a family where my grandparents would go around in the winter buying blankets and then covering people on the streets of Ahmedabad. Very simple thing. Nobody asked for anybody, nobody looked at who it was. But just as a social responsibility, they felt they were better off, and that was what they gave back. So homelessness was taken care of by just going and covering them, poor people, with blankets. This is something I had seen happen as a very small child. Thereafter, of course, as parents, my father was in the army. He retired as a very senior vice chief of the army. However, he never left the common touch. He never left, whether it was a Jawan or it was somebody who was not well. Even today, we still go back to my father's batman. My parents are no more, but we still go back to them in their village in Rajasthan. And I took my daughter there in 2017, and we had the most lovely time going on a camel cart, roaming around the village. And the kind of lovely time we had just one day, but in Junjuno, which was an extraordinary feeling for her too. And I think that is the kind of thing that you can give back to your children, is the memories that they will carry with them. And I think the most important thing that I saw from my own mother was there was a kite, a bird kite, who had been cut with the thread, the manja. And she was there rolling up her whole hand with her glove and cotton, only to feed the poor kite who could not fly and was biting her while she tried to feed it. So I think that animal instinct came in from that childhood part of these two impacts. And even my grandfather, the other side, I mean, all my grandparents and parents. So we tend to have a lot of feeling and caring. And I think that carried forward not merely with animals, but even with people. And just an experience, and I just highlight a few experiences. I moved to Hyderabad in 1997. I knew nobody. At that time, from then onwards, it became helping somebody in a small way. So I always talk of it, and where my daughter has actually imbibed this, which is tremendously, very, very helpful. And she has been interacting tremendously with Victor. But the point being, the power of one, and I'd like to just talk about that. The power of one, and I really admire Zoya and Kimaya, because the younger they are, the faster you pick up these points. The fact of picking up and being the power of one, you as one individual can help or change the life of somebody down the line. I'll give you an example. I worked in a building right here in Sardar Patel Road. There was a dog who was there, and I would feed her. I called her Biscuit. And this poor dog was in a very bad shape. However, he improved tremendously. Him. And there were a lot of people who would say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And I would like to tell that story separately. But basically, there were other people who watched me doing this. And there were a lot of dog haters. But then slowly I realized there was a woman who came up to me, one of my own colleagues, who said, "Ma'am, I hated animals, but after watching how nicely Biscuit reacts with you and the wagging tail, I have started feeding dogs in my own community." I think that was the change which really made me happy. Not all the work that I did, but that one girl who came up and said, it made me change and I could help another animal. I just felt that that was the most appropriate thing.
I like that thought, and I like that power of one. And I want to go to Kimaya right now.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
you talked about how each one can make a difference. How means do you really think, Kimaya, that a lot of the youth like you and Zoya can get involved and should get involved?
I mean, definitely. Like, of course, there are people who cannot go out there and do things outside because of disabilities and things like that, which I totally understand. You can do what you can do, right? Whatever you can do, you do that. And that is 100% enough. Never let anyone tell you what you are doing isn't enough, because it is. Because guess what? You're doing something and they aren't. And they're just sitting here hating on you because they feel like you aren't doing enough. But that's not true. You are trying and you are doing your best. And that is just everything to me. And it's everything for this planet and all these people. And you're really impacting lives. And that's amazing. Imagine that you're saving lives and you're doing so amazing. Like, one thing I have seen specifically with my generation is online activism, right? So that's a lot of things that you can do. There's on social media, just something we do on Connect. I feel like once a week we will post about some sort of topic going. So like what's going on in Afghanistan. We had that come up some time ago. Now we might go on to the shooting, the Travis Scott, he had a festival and there were a few deaths, and it's very tragic. And maybe we'll post about that next time, just to inform our audience on what's going on. I feel like ignorance is a big thing. And once you get over that ignorance, that's when you start, fixing the problems. Like, you can't really do anything when you're going to stay ignorant. Once you get
the word that ignorance is bliss is not true. And Zoya, I want you to add to what Kimaya said. And why is it important for you youngsters to start at 15? Why can't you all just focus on education? I mean, what is the real thing that motivates you and Kimaya and your entire team? And why is it important?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I think that the reason that community service is so important is because not only because of how you are giving back to society, but there's so much that you can benefit from it as an individual. For what we do through Connect, we work with a lot of underprivileged children. And what really motivates us is learning from the children that we work with, right? So we have a lot of story writing workshops, we have debate workshops, and the ideas that children have, it's incredible. And it's something that we have never thought of. For example, if we give a writing exercise to write a particular story from another person's point of view, suppose there are two main characters, the story is being told from one person's point of view, we ask them to switch the perspective. And the ideas that they have teach us so much about the way their mind works, and it's really interesting to learn from them. And community service is about giving back and interacting with people from different walks of life. So again, that's an experience that you can get from nowhere else, really. The things that you learn from interacting with different people is you can't learn that from anywhere else, right? So I think that it's so important that the youth engages in community service. So if I say I had a conversation with the person that I was 2 years ago, maybe like when I was in 8th grade, I wouldn't really recognize her because I have grown so much as a person over the last year, I think last 2 years, not sure. But yeah, so a big part of it is community service and the things that you learn about yourself and about others and other people's views on life, the lessons that they've learned from what they've been through. It's really interesting, and you're going to be able to look back and see that you've made a difference, and that's the most important thing. And that's why it's really important.
I like the way, you said that you are learning a lot. And we often hear that it's not really giving back to society. It's what it does to you. Giving to others is more of happiness that it brings to you. So I like that. And I can totally understand what you're saying is you are learning a lot more from the other minds that are there. And we are learning from youth like you. Over to you, Victor. What is your opinion on getting the youth involved? You worked in this entire space for the past more than 15 years. why do you think, and how have the youth helped you in, shaping the vision of many organizations?
Yes, the one thing I want to tell you is the thing which I drew me to community services. The suffering I went through as a childhood. Another thing is that our organization was in the stage where they wanted to wind up because the lack of support and all. Then that made me to think where these kids will go. They'll be going back to same vulnerable background where they have come. That challenged me to take the responsible and. Um, why young people, I want to answer this fourth question, why it is important for the youth to be involved, why they have to, it's so important the young generation to get involved is, once they get involved in social service, they know how privileged they are, they know how blessed they are, they know how facilities they have, because there's a lot of need around, there's a lot of people, are children, young people, old ones are suffering, because we see nowadays children keep complaining, start comparing themselves with others, though they have everything, they start comparing themselves with others, they say we don't have this, we don't have that gadget, we don't have this kind of facility with us. Every day as a counselor, I'm telling you, every parent come to us saying my children are not yet satisfied what we are doing to them. So I would encourage young people to get involved in social service, so you will know how blessed you are, how privileged you are. That one thing I want to tell you. And other thing which strongly drew me into social services, a quoting says from a holy book, it says, love your neighbors as yourself. See, loving our neighbors is important, but this word triggered me. It says, as you love yourself. So that made me to think, so as I love myself, my question is, I have to love my neighbors. Who are these neighbors? The neighbors are those who are in need, who don't have access for have a good meal a day, don't have access to school, don't have access to wear a good clothes, don't even have access to stay in a good shelter. So then I started, seeking people who are in need, and that's how we have come into service. And one more, the biggest inspiring for me is the lot of young people are coming forward to do social service. Instead of celebrating their birthday with their friends and hanging out with friends, they want to come and spend their time with our children, and we want to spend this money, instead of spending with my friends hanging out there, we want to come and spend with the children, we want to give what we have learned. So it's really inspiring. A lot of young people are coming forward to support our children. There are a lot of students based organizations nowadays. I don't want to name all those things. I'm really sorry if I'm offending to say this. I've been having experience working with corporates, working with companies, industrials, and as well as students. See, CSR comes, they do one event, take pictures, take report, and they leave, they never turn back. But these kids, the young ones who study in 10th standard, 11th standard, I do remember volunteer goes to school morning 7 o'clock, come back from school by 4 o'clock, and then comes to organization to take 2 hours every day. That's really inspiring. Though they have a lot of challenges, lot of things to do for themselves, we get really inspired by these young ones. Over to the
That's
host.
very true. That's very true
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
young ones. And, you've talked about the fact that loving yourself and treat your neighbors as you would do to
yes,
yourself. And that's really important. I have a whole lot of questions, but I know that the audience has a lot of questions. Mamta, can
yes.
I open it to the audience and I'll take questions, and I want to end with my round at the end. But why don't I start with some questions from the audience? You all can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can put it on the chat. Um, I know that there's a lot of chat going on the side, and everybody's really loving what you all have talked about, and they have questions themselves. So anybody can unmute themselves and ask a question, or just put it on chat. And Mamta, I'll take the question one by one.
I think there was a question coming in.
Okay. Shabni, is it possible for you to unmute anybody who wants to ask a question?
I have a question, guys. Hi, good morning from USA.
Good
This
morning.
is Archana. Hi, Rupal. I have a question for the young people on the panel, and this was again something I was discussing with my young volunteers. Is how do you differentiate when you pick up projects or pick up ideas on doing genuine good as against just wokeism, right? Like, I mean, just as against just kind of being in with the crowd. And because there are hot topics going on right now, there is about equality, at least I'm talking in USA. There's about equality and rights, etc. So, I think sustainability is a big part of it, right? Like something that you do continuously, sustainably over a long time, that makes a difference. So that's what when you guys have your weekly meetings and when you discuss about which projects to take on, how do you decide on how long that impact can happen as against just one-off kind of projects?
Great question. Kimaya and Zoya, one by one, you can take a part of it.
Okay.
And, then I'll go on to the next question. Go ahead.
So how do you, I think, differentiate between the 2 points that you stated is that one, I think that it comes down to, like, it simply comes down to your beliefs, right? What are you most passionate about working towards? What is the issue that bothers you the most? For me, it was that education, not everyone gets an education that they deserve. And that's what I wanted to work towards. Now, other topics that every now and then there'll be like these trending topics, right? I would love to work towards everything if I could, but what bothers me the most, I will work towards that. And I will try to help other organizations with other issues as well. But most of my energy will go towards education for young children. So I think it's about and then the question of how do we decide which projects you want to take up. For example, during COVID, we did most of our work during COVID, and we realized that in a village that we had once visited to drop off some donations, some stationery supplies and clothes, and we realized that that village had really been hit badly by COVID-19, and we wanted to do what we could to help, right? Even though our focus is mainly children, we thought, how can we help this village? So we set up an online crowdfunder. We called up people that we knew people could donate to this fundraiser. And then we raised money to provide food to 75 families in that village. So that's how we kind of adapted. And so even though most of our work is related to children, we did this because we believe that it was important. So I say that just stick to your beliefs and what you think is the most important and crucial topic that needs attention right now, work towards that.
Great. Kimaya?
Sure. Okay, I'll just piggyback off of what Zoya said about the village, the food rations thing. Yeah. So, we're really privileged when you think about it. We have food on the table every single day, 3 times a day. We also have our snacks, and we never second think that, do we? For me, the thought in my mind has never occurred that, oh, am I going to be able to eat dinner today? Is there going to be food to eat? But that wasn't the case for these people, and they really needed that food. Like my mother, she also does a lot of volunteer work. She's amazing. She's an amazing person. And she worked with the same village to bring food. And so we were kind of doing this through her in a way. Like she would give me information and I would pass it on to the team, and we would all just figure out what we can do to help. Like whenever my mother saw a problem that she could not fix, but she thought we could, she would just pass it off to us, and we would see, this is the problem, what can we do? And we saw the food. And I mean, food's a basic necessity. Everyone needs food. And even in that village, it's so remote, they have to walk a long distance just to get water. They have no running water. And I mean, we take so much for granted now, don't we? Running water. And so, I mean, we raised a lot of money, a lot more than we anticipate. I don't think we thought, we didn't really think about how big of an impact we could create. And I did not expect us to reach our goal as quickly as we did. I don't want to talk about the goal because I feel like that might sound like I was bragging. So and I'm not trying to do that, but I'm very proud of what our team has done. Like, it was hard because I've never done fundraising before. Zoya, I don't think she's ever done fundraising before, not to this extent. It was a lot more than what we would have ever done. But we managed with our amazing team of just 8 children. And it's amazing.
Yeah, and at the time it was 4 of us doing the fundraising campaign, and
Yes.
I think
that's an example for everybody, saying that once you decide, once you believe in something, once you know that not to take things for granted. And as a parent, that's the best thing, right? To be able to understand, the kids understand that they don't take their privileges for granted is amazing. So thank you for that, Kimaya. The next question I want to actually move towards is Raghav. He's one of the questions that Samita is asking is, how important is consistency in volunteering for a social cause? Or does a one-time initiative count as impactful too? Raghav, can you take that?
Yes, thanks, Rupal. So yes, I mean, again, hearing from everyone else, Zoya, Kimaya and all, that itself is inspiring. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, it's consistency. I mean, it's not like the give back is not a one-time activity. It is a continuous activity. The change that doesn't, there is a saying, right? More the things change, more they remain same. Right. I mean, but then we want to kind of change that, right? So basically, when you say want to make the change, it's a process that doesn't just come like in 1 day or 2 days. It's a process probably take several years. So unless and until you focus on that cause which is very close to your heart, and that's where I say that for us, Udbhav, it's not like we are going to change the entire society, right? It's just you need to find your cause which is close to your heart. In this case, that's what we said: education and health. Right. Again, when you say education and health, what are the opportunities that we have? I think where I left off, where I the last part that I was speaking is that in terms of education and health, what is that you can do? It's as simple as say going to a school and motivating the people to kind of continue their education, to not drop the education. That's, I've seen this thing in my village in Adilabad. So it's a government school, and now it is one of the best government schools in the area. And then again, where my father used to go and motivate them, every 15th August. It's not like, on a particular, because those occasions actually means more, in the sense that they can, a lot of people are present, and then, they make sure that the people, even these kids come from different, different hamlets within the area. So you make sure that they are there and they talk to them and motivate them and make sure that the absenteeism or, attendance is, they don't drop out of the schools. It is not, so this something comes only over through a sustained period of activity. It's not that, I go there once and then I give a, I talk to them. It's over and over, you have to go and then, motivate them. So when you say something, what can you do? You can do, many things actually. I mean, in terms of, it is like spending your time. When you say the time, right, and there is what is the concept of time? Time is now. They say that, waqt ka matlab ab. So there is no good time to start anything. You have to plan. Obviously, I want to do something. You have to plan and do, but it is the right time. And there is nothing like looking at Zoya and Kimaya, they're 15 and they've already picked it up. So there is nothing like I'll wait for 5 years and then let me make sure myself secure, and then I'll begin. I don't think. I mean, you can still do that. What I'm saying is that for giving back, there is nothing like there's a time that you have to start. Time is now.
That's the time is now is what I'm taking from this. And even, Samita, like you said, one project. Yeah, let's start with one project and see how that tugs at your heart so much that you're going to want to do one more and you're going to want to do one more. So thanks for that question. Next question is for Shireen and me, but I'm going to let Shireen answer it right now. Being in such a serious job, how do you balance your career and personal life and all of this while giving back to society?
I think, Rupal, you should answer that as well, because I'm only giving back to society from my little around figure of, well, from lawyers, as I wanted to give an example. Well, I had a case which came to me to save, this was a public interest litigation, which I took up myself, to save Bison Polo Ground. I'm sure people in Hyderabad would know of this. And it came up, well, there were many of us who were very keen that we save this green environment of 60 acres from going under the hammer of government taking it over for building construction. So what happened? Somebody came, a young girl came to me, and we were all wondering of how to go about it. And this young girl who was in college with my daughter came and said, "Auntie, I want to help." I said, "Great. So what should we do?" I said, "Okay, let's work it out." That girl came up with this brilliant idea of sending postcards to the Chief Justice of Hyderabad at that time. And that really turned the tide. She created such a fantastic, an action which helped people realize that even children, they were NCC girl cadets, and they wanted to have this polo ground saved so they could do their practice here itself. Other than that, they would have to give up their NCC or move from their schools. So here was an idea of a child. And she said, "Well, I'm going to do this." So I said, "Fine, I'll make you the petitioner in the PIL, and we will take it up for the girl child for education and going forward for your NCC. So this is again a point of one girl's idea, she and her group of children coming together and saying, "We want to fight for a cause." So this is a cause. You got to give them an opportunity, guide them a little, and that's how you can take these things forward. Coming to the point of how do we balance it? Well, where there's a heart, where there's a will, there's always a way. You'll find it if you really want to do it. It takes a little extra. And I'm sure my daughter will tell you all that mommy never comes home. But then that's the way things are. I mean, you've got to put in your heart. If you got your heart in the right place, you want to put some effort into it. You just have to put that extra effort into everything you want.
Thank you,
There's
Shireen.
always a possibility.
That's important. I mean, where there is a will, there is a way. And people ask me this: how do you, have a work-life balance? And I never understood that question, because work is life also, right? Kids is life, work is life, having your own friends and family close to you is life. So my simple thing is, if you truly believe in something, there is a way that it works out. A lot of time we limit ourselves into saying that, no, my kids need time, my kids are young, or this needs time, or I cannot do this. It's more limiting. So I try to do things, and if there is a real showstopper, then I look at what the challenge is. Because for me, there is no such thing as work and life. It's all life, and it's all a part of life. And it's really important. I mean, we are privileged, so it's for myself that I can do any kind of social giving, because it adds happiness to me, and that could be selfish or whatever, but it starts with the happiness. So thank you. But I want to kind of put in a word here that we're running out of time. I know there are a lot of questions that are coming in. Mamta is going to take a note of all of them, and she's going to personally respond to them. She's going to put her email address and phone number as well. So let your questions come in, and also you can email it to us. And definitely Mamta and the group will be responding to that. I'm just going to say thank you. Mamta, is there anything right now before I put in the closing comments?
No, I just wanted to say a special thank you from the Udbhav team to each one of you for sharing such deep, insightful viewpoints for us, and I know, like Shireen said, even one life changed or touched, it's worth it all. And that is something that we want to take away. And this is just the first of its series. We will continue to have this more, because even besides doing the work, I think creating that awareness is very important. And what better than to see people who've actually done it? People like yourselves who've shown that it can be done. I think that is the takeaway. And yes, please do stay in touch with us. All the different details will be posted in chat, and we look forward to hearing back from you. And I wanted to take this time, Shireen, Raghav, Kimaya, Zoya, I'm not going in order, Mr. Victor and Rupal, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and coming on board for this. We're really very thankful and privileged to have you on board.
Thank you so much. I just want to, before I end, I want to give a 10 seconds to each of the panelists and your one key message for the audience, just 10 seconds. I don't want to go overboard with the time. I recognize that we're getting late. Shireen, if we can start with you, just one message to the audience and to the participants and to all of us.
Don't take a no for it. My 1 minute thing is, please do not take no. There will be always hurdles and people saying, no, it's not worth it. Don't take that no. Try it. Keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah, I just want to say is generosity is not a one-time event. It have to be a lifestyle. As you take time for your gymming, as you take time for studies, as you take time for extracurricular activities, at other point, generosity should be your lifestyle.
Absolutely. Kimaya?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's like educate yourself. If there's a problem, there's something you want to fix, you educate yourself on that problem before going out to fix it. Because you might have financial problems. You might not be able to give money, but that's okay. Not every problem is solved with money. A lot of problems have to do with mindset, and once you get past those boundaries, and you can get past those boundaries for other people, you can help other people get past those boundaries. Problem solved, right? So education is truly the key to everything.
Zoya?
I would say that as long as you believe in what you're doing, and as long as you believe that you're making a small difference, that's enough. And you don't have to listen to anyone who's trying to oppose you. Like Ms. Shireen said, don't ever listen to anyone else's opinions if you don't believe in them, right? Stick to your beliefs. As long as what you're passionate about what you're doing, and as long as you are getting something out of it, then you're making a difference, and that is enough.
Thank you for that. Raghav, I'm going to give you 12 seconds because I want you to kind of talk to the youth about one or two initiatives on your platform that they can start with volunteering. I know we're short of time, but just a few seconds, Raghav, if you can end this, and then we're good to end the session.
Yes, definitely. Thanks a lot. Thanks all the panelists. Thanks all who have joined. The one thing that struck me was the one statement. I think that was the one was the power of one. That's something it struck me. And then the what I would say is there are always opportunities. Your heart has to be in the right place. You have to spot. You have to actually spot the opportunities. It's not like you say, what do I do? They're all around you. Just that you should have the eyes to see it, and you should have the heart in the right place. That's my statement. In terms of the what we for Udbhav, we have a good pool of social volunteers, and we Mamta and myself, if you want to reach out to us in the platform, and you can actually go to visionudbhav.org. That's the website, and reach out to us in terms of what platform. Of course, we have several avenues in terms of as simple as going to a school, going to just helping setting up chairs, tables. You be there, just be there, and maybe some distribution and all. Right, there are many things that you can associate with. You can just reach out to us. Mamta can help us. Me can, anyone in Udbhav can help us.
Mamta's put in the phone number. She's put in the website. Mamta, if you can add his email as well. Thank you to all the participants. You all have been wonderful. I know there are some questions which we promised to answer, but some very, very important and amazing and inspiring points from the panelists, right? From make others smile, to your association, to educating yourself, to recognizing that, you're privileged, to your education and how treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself, and the amazing difference that all of you make. Thank you so much. It's always inspiring to listen to personal stories. No amount of knowledge out there in terms of do this, do that is going to be a patch on your stories. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing those with us. And Mamta, thank you for organizing this beautiful and getting all of us together on this platform. It's amazing what you and Raghav are doing. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
It was a total pleasure, and believe me, the privilege was all ours. We feel honored to have you all on our team. Thank you for the very precious jewels that you shared. And I know it'll make a difference, not only in our lives, but in a lot of other people's lives. Thank you. I wish you all a very good evening.
All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zoya. Thanks.
Thank you, Zoya. Thank you,
Kimaya.
Kimaya.
Bye, Raghav. Bye.
Thank you, Victor.
Bye, Victor.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.